Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 8-game NBA main slate on Monday. Before I get in the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. Also make videos for NBA Top Shot, NFL All Day, and Prize Picks. If you guys are unable to watch these YouTube videos, I do upload on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. It is called the DK DFS Show. If you want more in-depth content, offer that on patreon.com. NFL and an NBA package on Patreon. The sponsor of this video, guys, is Roast Umber. Roast Umber, if you are a coffee lover, you got to give them a try. They have coffee, decaf coffee, and my personal favorite here, the Nitro Cold Brew. So, yeah, give it a try, guys. Use code DKDFS for 20% off your order. You will not be disappointed. I've been drinking like 2 Nitros a day. I am addicted. So, yeah, guys, give it a try. Again, code DKDFS for 20% off. Okay, so real quick before we get into the video, I want to give a special shout out to my boy Josh, who came in 15th in the Tournament of Champions today for NFL, winning $15,000. He had a little Chief stack. With OBJ. This was a 100-person entry, and I'm pretty sure you had to win to qualify to get into this. But yeah, it was still a great finish here for Josh. So congrats to him. Again, really good friend of mine, and love to see a good finish there. But yeah, let's talk some NBA DFS, guys, and I'm ready to forget the last week or so. It's probably been one of the worst weeks for me DFS wise and in a long time. I'm sure you guys you have seen on Twitter, right? If there's an injury, if there's an ejection, they're in my lineup. So it's not been fun. Definitely been a little bit mentally draining, to be honest. When just like every night, it's like, what am I just turning into a meme at this point? Is it just like anytime a player gets injured? Oh yeah, he's in my lineup. Like it even happened in NFL today. I had Tyler Higbee. It's like, okay, cool. But the good thing about DFS is there's always another slate. So ready to turn this bad luck around here. And let's start off with the Pelicans and the Cavs. So Pelicans, there's a lot of question marks right now. We have JV questionable, Ingram questionable, Josh Hart questionable. JV and Ingram missed the game last game. Josh Hart played, but this is a different injury. Now we got a left knee contusion. It was an ankle before. So I do think his status is pretty much 50-50. If Jonas Valanciunas is out, we can look to Hernangomez, who when I play him, he does nothing. Goes for 21 fantasy points. I fade him here against Denver when he's chalky, hoping for foul trouble. 50 bomb, right? But yeah, if JV's out, then Hernangomez is definitely going to be in play. And then Jackson Hayes would be the backup 5 at 3-7, would be like playable as a contrarian value play. But Hernangomez is really the upside player there if JV misses. And then if, like Ingram and Josh Hart are out, the likes of like Graham and NAW and Herbert Jones, Garrett Temple, even Alvarado had a good game. These are all guys we're going to have to look to. So, again, a little bit hard to say right now just because we have the 3 main guys questionable. But, yeah, if I had to lean, I would say at least one of these guys come back. I think JV plays. It's just been an illness he's missed the last couple of games, and he's been out since Thursday or Friday. So if I had to guess, I would say he plays, whereas like Ingram and Josh Hart, a little bit more up in the air. On the Cleveland side, so Darius Garland, 9.1K. I think it's a relatively safe play for the amount of minutes he's going to get. He's going to do a lot of the playmaking. So yeah, no issue going to Garland. As far as the bigs go, and Mobley and Allen, neither really stand out their respective price points. Yeah, more secondary plays. Kevin Love, 6'4". So previous couple games for the last one, 24 and 27 minutes. On this game against the Pistons, only 19. So the minutes kind of been up and down. Obviously, if we're going to get, mid to high 20s minutes, he's going to look a lot better. If we're only getting 19, not so much. So I think Love's a solid tournament play because if the minutes are there, he's usually a guy that does produce. And then as far as like these secondary plays go, so we've seen some, a little bit of extra run for Chetty the last couple games. He played 34 minutes actually against Milwaukee and smashed, only 22 against the Pistons. But he's not a bad fancy point per minute guy when he's on the court. So I think he's viable. Okoro should see pretty big minutes, but not a super high usage guy. So again, he's kind of like a fair secondary play. And then Rajon Rondo is at the flat min price. He should get, around 20 minutes, which I think actually makes him a pretty decent value play. We know he's the guy that can stuff the stat sheet. All right, Clippers and the Pacers. So I was talking about this. I made an early save video on Patreon. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with this Clippers rotation, right? You have no idea. They're benching starters a lot of the time. They're just randomly, it feels like they're just picking names out of a hat, right? So, who knows what's going to happen? I would say, if I had to guess, if the game stays competitive, we do probably get over 30 minutes from Marcus Morris and probably over 30 from Reggie Jackson. But we've still seen some competitive games there for Reggie where he's played under 20 minutes. So it's hard to feel good about really anyone on the Clippers. But I think Morris, Reggie are the guys that probably have the most upside. Amir Coffey at 5-1, I guess his minutes have been the most secure over the last 4 games. Production's been a little bit all over the place for him. Luke Kennard, also the minutes have been going up on him off the bench. Production's been there too, but I don't know if he continues to produce at this rate. So I'm interested in Luke Kennard, but he might be a little bit over-owned from box score watchers. And then as far as the bigs go, so they're kind of splitting it with Zubac and Hartenstein. Zubac 4-5 is relatively cheap, and then you have Hartenstein off the bench at 3-3, who is a good point per minute guy. He's been seeing 15 to 20 minutes. I think both the centers are in play for me. Bledsoe, I played him on the early slate. 3 fouls in 3 minutes. But he's someone you can look to for tournaments, right? Terrence Mann's minutes have been kind of trending down, but he's also very, very cheap. And then Justice Winslow's been playing a little bit more. Again, you've had some blowouts. You've had some games where they bench the starters, but he is only 3.7. So Clippers team, I wish I could break it down better for you guys, but really the group of, the main rotation players are all in play. But, for example, if you go to Justice Winslow, would I be surprised if he plays 10 minutes tomorrow? Not at all, right? So it's just one of those situations. If you target someone for the Clippers, there's no security in the minutes. Moving on to the Pacers. So I played a low-owned Sabonis last night against Dallas. Was on pace for a massive game, blowout. I also had Kristaps Porzingis. He got injured. But back to Sabonis. So first couple games back, 44 minutes against the Thunder in overtime, 71 fantasy points. 29 in a blowout, 54 fantasy points. Right now he's doing everything for this team. Not afraid of the Clippers front court. So I think Sabonis looks really good at that price. Karis LeVert, I think, has shot a grand total of 15%, feels like, over the last month. He has just been awful. But he will do a lot of the ball handling. If the game stays competitive, we should see some big minutes for him. So I don't hate him for tournaments. I think Sabonis is the much safer play. Goga, his status is up in the air. If he misses, we're going to have Isaiah Jackson play the backup 5, who probably doesn't play a ton unless the game blows out, but he will be productive when he's out on the court. We do have Duarte back at 5K, kind of just a fair play in the mid-range. Torrey Craig, Justin Holiday. I mean, these guys in a competitive game probably see around 30 minutes, but neither are great point per minute guys, so they're kind of just neutral plays for me. Memphis and Philadelphia. So John Morant, 10.1, has been playing out of his mind recently. He had 34 real-life points. Now, didn't do much in the peripheral stat department last game, but I would say that's kind of an outlier based on just recent games. 10 assists, 10 boards. 5 boards, 8 assists. 13 boards, 6 assists, right? He's a guy that majority of the year he's been stuffing the stat sheet. So not super worried about that last game with the lack of peripherals. And I still think he's a pretty solid play here, even with Memphis getting relatively healthy. Triple J is always in play for tournaments, but we know he has a low floor. Bane feels priced about right. Adams against Joel Embiid, I could see him playing a little bit more here, maybe pushing for over 30 minutes. So I think he's a fair play in the mid-range. I don't know if they want to go to Brandon Clark against Embiid. I think Adams probably the best bet, right? And then we do have Slow-Mo back. We do have Zaire Williams back. So the likes of Melton and Conchar becomes a little bit riskier. Melton's price is up. And again, I think the minutes are not as secure now with a couple of these other pieces coming back. So this grouping of Melton and Slow-Mo and Conchar and Zaire Williams, yeah, they're not out of play, but I don't know if there's one play that stands out there. On the Philadelphia side, so Joel Embiid is 11.8. Does feel a little bit pricey, but he's been playing super, super well this year. And, over the last month, he's really been on a tear. So If you have the salary for Joel Embiid, I'm not going to say no. As far as the secondary plays go, Tobias Harris 7-8 feels like a relatively safe play. Should play mid to high 30s minutes, so I think he looks decent. Maxey feels priced about right. We do have Korkmaz status up in the air. If he can't go, probably more run for the likes of like Thibault, Niang, Danny Green. And then Seth Curry, 5'3". I don't hate him. He is scoring dependent, but we should see over 30 minutes from him, and he's a guy that does have upside if he can knock down his shots. Miami and Boston. So Jimmy Butler, 8.9K. He went off last game. Also, it was a triple overtime game. He was still playing well before that, though. So he's questionable. If he plays, I think he makes for a relatively safe play because right now he's just doing everything for his team. If he misses, then Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero get a pretty big usage bump. So Bam at 7.5. Again, had a solid game, but you would expect a little bit more from him in a triple overtime game. Tyler Hero didn't do much with his opportunity, but again, that was just a Jimmy Butler kind of takeover game. So again, if Jimmy's out, Bam and Hero are going to look way, way better. As far as the value goes here for Miami, Gabe Vincent's 4.8K. He's been playing some pretty big minutes of late. I think he's a relatively safe play just because he's been playing consistently over 30 minutes. Duncan Robinson, we've seen a couple big games from him, but we also saw what happened last game, right? And this is what you can get with targeting players like this. If they don't hit their shots, they're going to kill you, right? And 0.75 fantasy points in 20 minutes, that will definitely end your night early if you have that. PJ Tucker, 3.9. I think he's a fair value if Jimmy Butler plays. He actually is going to look pretty good if Jimmy Butler misses. So again, keep an eye on that. Like Martin as well would be more in play if Jimmy does end up missing. On the Boston side, really tough matchup, and there's just not much that stands out for me. Tatum feels a little bit overpriced. Brown feels priced about right. Williams, same thing. There's just nothing that stands out to me on the Boston side. Like it's a Josh Richardson revenge game. I guess he's okay value, close to min price, but Boston probably one of the least appealing teams on the slate. Moving on to Toronto. So again, Nick Nurse just straight up lying about extending the rotation. He's just playing these guys massive minutes. Like, the game went to triple overtime, but they were all on pace for like over 40 minutes no matter what. We saw 57 minutes for Pascal Siakam. We'll just go 57 for Siakam, 54 for Fred VanVleet, 56 for OG Anunoby. Scotty Barnes played 56 minutes, and Gary Trent Jr. played 56 minutes. I know, right? I know it's triple overtime, but still, right? They were all over 40 minutes, even without the overtime. So he's just straight up lying about extending the rotation. With these Toronto guys, and that's the positive. You're just going to see massive minutes for the main five guys. So, I think all five are in play. And Siakam, VanVleet, OG, Barnes, and Trent. As far as the two spend-ups go, I think I lean VanVleet over Siakam if I had to pick. He's just a little bit easier to get to because Siakam is only... Well, I guess he does have the power forward eligibility now. He's been back and forth the center and power forward only eligibility. But, both the Toronto main stars are in play. Like, OG and Barnes are fair plays in mid-range for the amount of minutes they're going to get. And then Gary Trent Jr. has been shooting really well of late. The only downside of him is he's kind of scoring dependent. But if he's going to play, mid to high 30s minutes, he can definitely pay off his salary. So I think, all the main guys look pretty good. I don't think I get to anyone else. The minutes have been way down on Boucher. Achua's 3-4. We probably get somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes. I guess you can go there, but I think there's going to be value I feel better about. On the Atlanta side, so not the best matchup here, but I think Trae Young's in plays can try and spend up. He can have a big game in basically any matchup. As far as the bigs go, so Capella's been losing minutes of late. Okongwu's been playing well off the bench. They've been kind of splitting the minutes. So I think if I was going to take a shot in the center, Atlanta center, it probably would be Okongwu or Capella, but I'll probably just stay away from the situation in general. John Collins is 6'5". Again, the minutes have not been as secure in him either. He's still been producing at a pretty high rate, but again, minutes have kind of been inconsistent. And then all secondary plays really the likes of Bogdanovich, Hunter, Herter, Gallinari. I don't know if there's anyone that really stands out to me there. Sacramento and New York. So De'Aaron Fox, status up in the air, going to be pretty big for the Sacramento Kings team. Harrison Barnes is 6.2K. He should play probably mid to high 30s minutes. I think he's a fair play there in the mid-range. Buddy Hield's 5.5. He's always in play for tournaments, but again, does have a low floor if he doesn't hit his shots. Rashawn Holmes is 5K. I think we probably see close to 30 minutes from him. It makes him a relatively safe play if he can stay out of foul trouble. If there's no Fox, Davion Mitchell most likely starts and becomes a solid value play. 32 and 29 minutes in the last couple games that he has started. That's probably it. And then if Fox plays, I'll probably just stay away from the situation from the Kings in general. Moving on to the Knicks. So this might be a first. We have the Knicks starting lineup out as I'm making this video Sunday night, and the game's tomorrow. So we know Randall, Barrett, Fournier, Mitch Robinson, and Kemba are starting. Now with this Knicks team, I mean, this team just frustrates me to no end. Randall's had a very, very up and down year. He's been really struggling of late, but the minutes have still been pretty consistent for him. RJ Barrett over the last month has actually been their best player, but he's still kind of priced up. Fournier, I can't stand this guy, right? I just can't. A single entry player, you can't play him, right? Last 5 games, 11, 25, 7, 11, and then 45 fantasy points, right? He is either breaking the slate and winning you all the money, or he is absolutely killing your lineup. There's almost no in between. Mitch Robinson, 5'4", been playing well, but his price is also up. Kemba, 5'4", minutes have been all over the place for him. Hard to feel confident there. Burks feels too pricey. Quickly is 3.9. I guess he's an okay value play. Again, though, minutes, not secure. So it's just like this Knicks team, I just really don't like talking about them. Golden State and Houston. So Steph Curry, it just, play it on, it's the same thing I say every single time about Steph. And the price, continues to go up a lot. Steph Curry should be priced sub 10K, right? So at this price, he's overpriced. Now, he can still get you there. Again, he's going to let you down way more often than he comes through for you, though. So you can always go to him in tournaments because the upside is still there, but the floor is way lower. Now, Andrew Wiggins, after he got announced all-star starter, which is something else, has actually played really well over the last couple games, 39 and 49 fantasy points. Now, you are paying a premium for him, but, Houston plays no defense, so he's playable. Klay Thompson, 6K, the minutes have slowly been ticking up on him. I think we get probably close to 30 minutes from him in this game, so kind of like Klay in the mid-range. Jordan Poole, 5'5", we should see some decent minutes from him off the bench. He's been playing relatively well. Otto Porter is out, so I'm not sure who the 5th starter is going to be. I don't think they start 3 guards with Steph, Poole, Klay. So it's going to be, Steph, Klay, Wiggins, Looney, and then I don't know who the 5th starter is. Maybe they move Kuminga back in the starting lineup. I'm not sure what they're going to do here. So, actually, that's pretty significant because there's no Otto, no Draymond, and obviously no Iguodala still. So we'll keep an eye on that. Kevon Looney, 4'9", should play probably close to 30 minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble, which makes him a fair play. And then the value for Golden State, Bielitsa, status up in the air. If he can't go, it's actually going to be a relatively thin rotation, which is weird to say for Golden State, but Kuminga, Gary Payton, Damian Lee should see some decent minutes off the bench. And again, I guess one of those guys could start, so we'll keep an eye on Golden State in the starting lineup. And on the Houston side, so Christian Wood, 8.6K. I think he's a solid GPP play, right? If the Rockets want any chance to keep this game competitive, you're probably going to need a pretty big game from Wood. Now, KPJ status is up in the air. I think he only missed 1 game from COVID protocols. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's pretty big. If he plays, I think he's a solid tournament play. If he misses, we saw Garrison Matthews move in the starting lineup and play big minutes. I think he would be a solid value. Only downside is I think the ownership would be up after last game, and he is score independent. Now, Jalen Green, we saw move to the point with Kevin Porter Jr. out. He had a decent game in 33 minutes, went for 32 fantasy points. So he's going to look better if there's no KPJ. Gordon probably gets a little bit of usage bump. Same with Jayshawn Tate. Off the bench, Christopher's 3-5. I mean, we probably get around 20 minutes from him, probably around 20 from KJ Martin. Sengun is just strictly getting the backup 5 run right now, so it's hard to get to him unless Christian Wood misses a game. And finally, Portland at OKC. So Nurkic at 8-3 had a really disappointing game today. Also was a blowout, so not super concerned about it. Throughout the game today, Nurkic has been playing really, really well of late. And now against the Thunder, which is, really good matchup here for bigs. So I do like Nurkic quite a bit. I think CJ and Simons are both decent options. They've kind of been taking turns with the playmaking. Both are playing big minutes, and like I said, it's a good matchup. Paul and Covington, more neutral place for me. Like, you're going to see big minutes for them, but I like the upside a little more for the guards or even for Nurkic. I don't think I get to anyone off the bench. Like, McLemore's 3-5. He probably sees around 20 minutes. Watford will play the backup 5. There's not much here for the bench. And finally, the Thunder. So the big news is no Shea. So Josh Giddey at 7-3, I think, looks really solid here. He's going to kind of shift more to that point guard role and do a lot of the playmaking. So I think he looks really solid. Dort gets a little bit of a bump, too. I think he's in play at 6K. He had a big game last game. Darius Baisley probably sees a little bit more run. I think he's in play for tournaments, but his minutes are never secure. Robinson Earl's fine, but he's only center eligible, so I'm probably not going to go there. And then the likes of Kenrich, Trey Mann, Wiggins, even Ty Jerome should see more run without Shea. Again, we'll keep an eye on who they end up starting for Shea. So that is something to keep an eye on. But yeah, guys, that will do it for the video. So if you have been enjoying the content, just make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Would really, really appreciate it. I will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow, Q&A style. So check that one out, guys. But thanks again. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys all